This video is for linear equations in various forms notes. So we're going to convert from slope-intercept form, point-slope form, and standard form to each of the other forms of linear equations for these notes. So we're going to start with slope-intercept form. So slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. M is the slope, and b is the y-intercept. And so on a graph, the slope is the rise over the run. It's how steep the line is. And the y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. So we're going to find the equation of the line that passes through these points. So the easiest way to do this is if you stack up these ordered pairs, and we can draw a line through the commas. And the left-hand side goes in L1, and the right-hand side goes in L2. We're going to do linear regression with our calculator on this. So I'm going to go ahead and clear this out, and I'm going to go to stat. So in L1, I'm going to put -4 and -6. In L2, I'm going to put -7 and 9. And then stat, right arrow key 4, hit enter 5 times. And so my equations always start with y equals. I use my slope first, and my slope here is this a value. So slope is -8, and then I add or subtract. Oh, wait, we need to tack an x onto the end. I'm sorry. Behind your slope is always the x, and then your y-intercept. So it's -39, so I would do -39. So that's how we write an equation in slope-intercept form from 2 points. So now we're going to take these different forms here and we're going to convert them to slope-intercept forms. I'm going to zoom in a little bit just so we can see these better. Okay, so the name of the game is to get y on a side by itself. So I'm going to use a separate sheet of paper just so I can write big and you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, so if I want y by itself, the first thing I have to do is to move this 3x. And so to move it, I'm going to subtract it from both sides. So 3x and -3x cancel. I always write the x at the front in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to write -3x, and then this is a +8, so +8. Now I've got to get this 4 away from the y. So to do that, I'm going to divide everything by 4. So these cancel, and I'm left with a y. I've got -3/4, which is a fraction in simplest form, and then I'm just going to tack the x onto the end there. And then 8 divided by 4 is a +2. So my equation there would be y equals -3/4 x plus 2. Okay, so the next one. The next one's in a little bit different form. So I've got 2/3 x plus 4 times y minus 2 equals 0. So the first thing I need to do here is I need to distribute. So I'm going to distribute this 4 across everything in parentheses. So I've got 2/3 x plus 4 times y is 4y. 4 times a -2 is a -8, and that equals 0. So if I want y by itself, what I can do is I can move this whole y. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to subtract 4y from both sides. So I've got 2/3 x, these cancel, -8 equals -4y. And then I want y by itself. So I'm going to divide everything by a -4. So I've got a pretty odd fraction division problem here. So I'm going to do it in my calculator. So always use that calculator. It's a good tool that you have been given to use. So alpha y1, 2/3, and then I'm going to divide that by a -4. And I get a -1/6. Is that right? Yep. So I've got -1/6 x, -8 divided by -4 gives me a +2. And then these cancel, and I'm left with y. And so now what I can do is I can flip that whole thing around. I can put the y equals on this side, and I can flip the whole thing without changing sides. I can just rewrite it without changing signs or anything. And so the reason I can do that is because everything is staying on a separate side. I'm not adding more things to one side. It's still a balanced equation. So this one is y equals negative 1/6 x plus 2. And then finally we've got y plus 4 equals 6 times x plus 7. Okay. So I want to distribute first. So I have y plus 4 equals 6 times x is 6x. 6 times 7 is a positive 42. So I'm doing pretty good because I've got my x and my y-intercept, or my slope and my y-intercept over here. I just need to get rid of that 4. So I'm just going to subtract 4 from both sides. So I have y equals 6x. 42 minus 4 is a positive 38. So sometimes converting is a little bit easier. This is one of your tougher ones to convert. So on that last one we have y equals 6x plus 38. All right, so point slope form is something we haven't seen yet. Point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So m is still the slope of the line, but these x1s and y1s here, this is a given point for that line. So if I'm going to write an equation, so here's what they give me. Find the equation of a line in point slope form that passes through negative 2, comma 3 and has a slope of 9. We're going to play the code game. So negative 2 is x1, 3 is y1, and 9 is my slope. So I'm still going to have this y always at the front, but then I'm going to subtract the y value in the point that they give me. And then my slope is 9, and then still going to have the x, and then minus x1, so I'm going to minus a negative 2, which is the same as adding 2. All right, so it says convert the following equations to point slope form. So this is a little bit different than the way we would normally do things. So let's start here with 15 y minus 1/3 equals x. So I'm going to distribute first before I do anything else. So 15 times y is 15y, and then 15 times a negative third is just like dividing 15 times, dividing by a negative 3, negative 1/3. 15 times alpha y1 negative 1/3. So I'd get a negative 5 there. So minus 5 equals x. All right, so if I put this in slope-intercept form, let's move this 5. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So now I have 15y, this cancels, equals x plus 5. And then I'm going to divide everything by 15. So this cancels. X over 15 is the same as 1/15 x. 5 over 15, if you simplify that fraction, you're going to get a positive 1/3. So now what I have to do is I have to put this in slope-intercept form, or in point-slope form. So I need a point that I can use, because remember, point-slope form is the y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So what I can do in my calculator, I can go to y equals, and I can type this equation in. So alpha y1 1/15 x plus alpha y1 1/3. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the table. So second table. And I'm going to look for, I want a nice pretty point. So the point I'm going to use doesn't look right. It's never good. Ah, there's one that I can use. I'm going to use this one. X is 10, y is 1. I'm going to use the point 10, 1. And then I know So this is my x1, this is my y1, and I know my slope is 1/15. So still have the y minus y1, which is a 1, equals m, which is my slope, times x minus x1, which is 10. So point slope form's a little bit more difficult to do, but it's also easier in some respects. So we've got y minus 1 equals 1/15, x minus 10. All right, the next one we have is 7x minus 9y equals negative 63. So this is an equation written in standard form. So first thing I'm going to do is move the x. These cancel. Negative 7x minus 63. Then I'm going to divide both sides by this negative 9. So the 9's cancel. I'm left with a y. Negative 7 over a negative 9 simplifies to just a positive 7/9. And then negative 63 divided by a negative 9 is a positive 7. So again, for point slope form, I need a nice pretty point. So I'm going to go to y equals, clear this out, alpha y1, 7/9 x plus 7. Second table, and I'm going to find me a nice pretty point. And so here's a nice pretty point, two nice natural numbers. So I've got the point 9, 14. Okay, so 9, 14, let me get rid of this for you. And then I know my slope is 7/9. So I'm going to use this form. y1 is 14 equals m is 7/9 times x minus x1 is that 9. So y minus 14 equals 7/9 x minus 9. And then one last one here that's written in slope-intercept form, y equals 14x plus 7. So this one, all I need to do is I just need to find a point. So I can go to y equals here, because I already have the slope. 14x plus 7, second table. And let's use, let's see, get a little bit smaller numbers here. Let's use that one. 1, 21. And then I know my slope is 14. So again, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So the y doesn't change. Minus y1 is this 21. M is the slope. It's 14. X minus x1 is 1. So we don't use point slope form often, but you do need to be familiar with it and how it works. The one that you need to be most familiar with is this next one, is standard form. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. So a has to be a positive integer, so no negatives in front of the a, and it has to be an integer, so no fractions. B and c are also integers, so again, no fractions, which means you're going to have to find common denominators. So no fractions or decimals. Find the equation of a line in standard form that passes through -5, -8, and has a slope of 5. Okay, so we've got to write an equation here. So let me grab a new sheet of paper. I can write this in point slope form. So y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. All right, so my y1 is a -8, so y not minus a -8. I'm just going to add a positive 8. It's the same thing. It says my slope is 5, and then x1 is a -5, so not minus a -5, just plus 5. So now what I can do is I can change this or simplify it to make it easier to work with. So 5 times x is 5x, 5 times 5 is 25, and then I can subtract 8 from both sides, 25 minus 8 is a positive 17. Okay, so now I can put this in standard form. So we don't want the 5x to be negative, so I'm going to leave that 5x there. I'm going to move the 17 and the y. All right, so we're going to subtract 17 from both sides. So I have y minus 17 equals 5x. This cancels. Then I'm going to subtract y from both sides. These cancel. So that is my equation, but I just need to flip it. Just like I do when we did inequalities, you can flip the whole thing without having to change signs. So standard form is 5x minus y equals a negative 17. All right, the next one. We have 8x equals negative 5y plus 3. This is a pretty easy conversion. So I am going to add 5y to both sides. So here I have 8x plus 5y, because these are not like terms. Their variable is different. So that's why you just write them side by side. This cancels, equals 3. Oops, sorry, it froze. So I have 8x plus 5y equals 3. All right, the next one is in slope-intercept form. So the first thing that I notice is I have a fraction. I need to get rid of that. So what we're going to do, we're going to multiply both sides by 11. So over here, I would have 11y. This 11 I would have to distribute. So when I do 11 times negative 9 over 11, I just get a negative 9. That 11 cancels out. And then 11 times negative 4 is a negative 44. Now all I have to do is move the x to the left-hand side. So plus 9x, and we always start with the x variable. This cancels, negative 44. So we're just moving pieces like we do in literal equations. All right, and the last one, let me get it written down here. Okay, so I'm going to distribute this negative, and then I'm going to start combining like terms. So y minus 5, negative, so remember, invisible math, there's an invisible 1 right here. Negative 1 times x is a negative x. Negative 1 times a positive 11 is a negative 11, and then I have this plus 2. So now I have y minus 5 equals negative x. Negative 11 plus 2 is a negative 9. And then now I'm going to move this 5. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. Negative x, negative 9, and a positive 5 gives me a negative 4. And then now all I have to do is move this x, and so I can add x to both sides. So now I have x plus y equals, this cancels, a negative 4.